Hello everyone, this is Jarle for Cloud9 Crafts and I have a new how-to video for you today. In this video I want to go over a few steps to make sure you have a clean and crisp black outline of your stamped images. I really hope you find it helpful. First, we need to talk about the inks. I always use the same 3 inks for when I have to stamp black outline images. The first one here is VersaFine Onyx Black ink. If I want to stamp a black sentiment or when I watercolor with markers or paint, I always use this one. I have been using it since I first started card making, and I really can't find a better ink for stamping sentiments or when I do some watercoloring. I don't think I have ever tried using a different ink for this. I mean, why would I? I really like the results I'm getting with this one. I do have to mention that it doesn't work with Copic markers. So if I want to do some Copic coloring, I grab the MFT Extreme Black ink or this Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. I have used Memento in the past, but I do prefer the Lawn Fawn and the MFT ones because I really like how black it looks. Since about last year, I've been using my Copic markers more than my watercolors, so I've tried these inks over and over again and I keep on loving them. So I don't have a particular preference, both work really good. The first tip I want to give you is that you want to make sure that your inks are always nice and juicy. I have made a video about how to refill inks. I will link that one in the description box below if you want to check that one out. If you find that your stamped images are not as solid black as they used to be, you might need to re-ink your ink pads. Making sure your inks are juicy is really the first step to have those crisp black outlines. I'm showing you the VersaFine re-inker here. I do not have any re-inkers for my Lawn Fawn ink at the moment because it's still more than juicy enough. Now on to the stamping. I mostly use my Misti stamping tool to stamp my images, just because you can always restamp an image if it didn't stamp crisp the first time. So it's perfectly okay if you stamp images twice or more to get that really nice black outline. That's exactly what the Misti is for. I find that especially with larger images, you really need to stamp multiple times. Another great advantage of the Misti is that you can stamp multiple images in one go. I do find though that if I have my Misti full of images, it's not stamped as solid as if I were to stamp only a few at a time. So I do try to limit the amount of stamps on my platform. My platform is actually never filled entirely with stamps. But really, the Misti is great if you don't get the perfect impression the first time. You can just stamp until you're happy with the results. Just make sure that your paper is always right against that corner so you don't get blurry or very thick lines. If you do want to stamp a larger stamp or maybe many small images at the same time, you can grab the stampendable tool and lightly rub the lid of your Misti with it. This tool gives light pressure so that the ink can actually grab and hold on to the paper without leaving a thick and nasty outline. I sometimes get that when I press the door of my Misti too firmly, so just use this tool and lightly rub it onto the Misti. This helps getting that impression just right. Now the final tip I can give you is to use a fine liner to enhance the lines where you didn't get a nice outline or a nice impression. I sometimes find that a little part of the image is not stamped perfectly. Here you can see it on the cloud, a little bit on the moon and on the rainbow. And to correct that, I just use a fine liner and go over that outline with a black pen. I always use the Copic multi-liners for this, and they work really great. I mostly use the 0.3 on very, very small images. I sometimes use the 0.1 also. Now you do want to make sure that your fine liner is waterproof or Copic friendly, depending on which coloring medium you will use. So here you will see me going over those little imperfections, and I'm trying to do this with a steady hand, of course. As you can see, the result isn't always perfect. It's all about the steady hand here. But I do use this method when there's just a very tiny area that needs perfecting. But I certainly don't do it over the whole image. Then I think it's better to use the stampendable tool, I think. So just to recap, first of all, make sure your black ink is juicy enough. Use a misti stamping tool so you can stamp your images a few times. Try using the stampendable tool, and then as a last tip, use a fine liner to enhance any uneven lines. I hope this video helped you out. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!